Hey everybody, with John Walk, Jeff Reinhardt here, another episode of LL Sports Update. Welcome in. Tons going on in LL Sports. Wow, John. Football, we're into district playoffs, and all the other fall sports, I guess we're pretty much into states now and everything. Tons of success for the LL kids.
Absolutely.
I think we have 7 teams playing on Saturday in state games. It's just been an unbelievable fall here. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, so I'm going to recap all of what happened this past Saturday in regards to soccer, field hockey, and we'll also touch a bit on football. Just as far as all the champions, we'll hit that first, and then we'll get into football. So to recap, on Friday night in football, it was Manheim Township, Manheim Central, and Northern Lebanon all taking home section crowns. In boys soccer, it was Hempfield and Lancaster Mennonite taking home District 3 crowns. Girls soccer, Conestoga Valley won a district title. And in girls volleyball, Hempfield beat Exeter to win the District 3 4A title. And in field hockey, this probably doesn't surprise anybody, my alma mater, Penn and Donegal each won a district championship in field hockey, so congratulations to all those teams. Also cross country, the PIAA championships were on Saturday. We had a ton of local runners in that, and they did pretty well. I'll mention some of the ones at the top. On the boys' side in Class 3A, Hempfield senior Christian Groff was the highest finisher for the LL League, placing 29th, while on the girls' side in Class 3A, Elizabethtown sophomore Katie Locker took home a top 10 finish. She placed 9th. She was quickly followed by Cocalico senior Jamie Zamrin in 16th place, and McCaskey senior Liana Torrado placing 20th overall. And by the way, Tim Gross will be dropping by a little bit later on in the show to give you guys a rundown on all the upcoming state playoff games for all those teams just mentioned above.
Wow.
Whew.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And since we're name dropping alma maters, CV girls soccer, congrats.
Yeah.
Way to go, Bucks. Okay, let's chat football. Friday night, John and I will be in Denver for Cedar Crest at Cocalico, District 3 5A first round game, rematch. Cocalico won big in that first one, 55-6 back in week 6. Wow, and Cocalico's playing great. They're riding a great winning streak, scoring all kinds of points, getting all kinds of yards, and doing all kind of fun things. So you got to a couple practices this week. What did you see?
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned, Cocalico won that first matchup 55-6, but if you remember going into that game, Cocalico was coming off the loss to Manheim Central, so the Eagles were super fired up and played like it, and Coach Gingrich mentioned that at practice on Tuesday. So the guys are going to be motivated regardless. It's a district playoffs. They're definitely going to get up for it, but it's worth noting. Also, by the way, in that game against Cedar Crest, the Falcons committed early turnovers, early mistakes, and the game was pretty much over by the second quarter. So Coach Gingrich, he mentions it in the video that we'll throw to here in a second, but just as far as, if the Falcons come out and play a clean game, it's going to be a different game for sure. And Cedar Crest has a ton of weapons that he's concerned about. Tell us about them.
They do. Starts with Logan Horn, the quarterback, junior, dual threat kid, 1,000-yard passer, 700 yards rushing. He's been really good. Got to mention Kendall Shand. What a game he had last week against LS. 8 carries, 243 yards, 30 yards a carry, and 5 touchdowns. So he touched the ball 8 times. 5 times he took it to the house. Wow. He's tough out of the backfield and can catch. Passes from Horn. A.J. Apple's been good. He's had a couple 100-yard nights. Cedar Crest averages almost 400 yards a game. They're tricky. They're only 2 losses.
Yeah.
Manheim Central and Cocalico. So,
and they're really well balanced. I was going over the stats last night. There's only 4 teams in the league with at least 2,300 rushing yards and 1,400 passing yards, and Cedar Crest is one of them.
Nice. Really like their balance a lot. I would think they're hungry, especially after what Cocalico did last time. The one thing to keep an eye on Friday, and I'm not a weatherman, but the high's in the 30s and the wind chill's supposed to be in the 20s at kickoff. It's going to be freezing.
I'm going to have to bring my portable fire pit to Cocalico for sure.
Some hot chocolate would be nice in the press box Friday night.
The interesting thing there, Cedar Crest defense, they're allowing 220 rushing yards per game coming into this. Cocalico, 3rd best rushing team in the league. I had the notes in front of me. They gathered 3,700 rushing yards at least. Obviously, we know about sophomore quarterback Noah Palm. Going back over his stats, I think the most passes he ever had in one game this year is 6 passes.
Wow.
So obviously they like to run. We know their flex bone offense. So between Palm, Brubaker, Longenecker, Zimmerman, and Zom, tallied 301 carries, 2,535 rushing yards, and 45 rushing touchdowns.
Wow, that's a lot. And Palm was the only LLQB not to throw an interception this year.
Wow, that's
There's
a
your stat of the day. There you go.
Yeah, so Irene Snyder was out of practice on Tuesday, at least at Cocalico anyway. We were inside because it was pouring rain and freezing cold outside. So the first time we had to do these interviews inside. So bear with us if the audio quality isn't up to par. But yeah, she caught up with Cocalico coach Dave Gingrich and Cocalico tight end Brad Heck. We throw it to Irene.
So, Coach, you already beat Cedar Crest earlier this season. Is there anything you learned from that game that you can apply to this coming Friday's game, or is this a completely new ball game?
I would just say it's a completely new ball game. What happened week 6 was a long time ago. We were coming off of a loss. They were feeling pretty good about themselves at 5-0. So we got the best of them that night. But this one, it means a lot more on Friday night.
And then what do you have to do to prepare for this coming Friday?
Well, I just think we have to do the things that we normally do. We run the football. We try to stop the run on defense. And, we just need to have a good week of preparation and go out there and play the best possible game we can play.
All right, so you already beat Cedar Crest in week 6. What do you have to do differently this coming Friday, or is it pretty much the same thing?
We just have to execute, do what we do, run the ball, pass the ball also, and we just all need to do our jobs and play together as a team. It's the same thing every week. We got to face every team we do just as the other team. We prepare the same and we work hard every week in practice.
Are you excited about this coming Friday? It's a big game.
I'm very excited. It's a district game and not many people get to play, and it's an awesome opportunity.
All right, thank you, Irene, for that. It's surely going to be a good one, but there's also 5 other District 3 football playoff games involving Lancaster-Lebanon League teams this Friday. Tell us about them.
Busy night. 6A, Central Dauphin at Manheim Township, rematch. Streaks beat the Rams back in week 1, 17-14. Red Lion at Wilson. Bulldogs lose the winning streak this year. They're the defending district champs. We'll see if they can defend their title. Dallastown at Hempfield, another rematch. Black Knights beat the Wildcats 38-14 back in week 1. They'll play again. 5A, Manheim Central, Section 2 champs, undefeated. They get Waynesboro out of the Mid-Penn Colonial. That'll be interesting. And in 4A, an all-LL clash. Section 3 champ, Northern Lebanon, hosts Lampeter Strasburg. Those two have not played since 2009 when LS was still down in Section 3. So yeah, Friday night's going to be really busy. A lot of fun games. 8 LL teams still dancing. A couple of them will play each other. We'll see who's left standing next week.
All right, that's what happens Friday. And then Saturday, of course, Penn State's coming back home after 2 tough road losses that I don't really want to discuss here. But LNP's Mike Gross drops by to chat about the Nittany Lions taking on Rutgers. You throw out the mic.
Penn State hosts Rutgers on Saturday, a noon kickoff at Beaver Stadium, and the Lions will try to get well after 2 gut-wrenching losses on the road, which kind of dashed their hopes for what were really their ultimate goals in this season, a chance to play for the Big Ten title, a chance to play for the national title. They could still play for the Big Ten title, but it's not very likely. Almost no chance to get into that national championship playoff, barring a miracle series of events. But still a chance for a 10-win season and a pretty good bowl game. And that's the challenge as Penn State tries to kind of emotionally crank it back up. The home crowd should help in that regard. And, Rutgers is still Rutgers, although they've been pretty good lately. They've won 3 of their last 4 against just okay competition. You may remember they played Washington very tough in their season opener. So it won't be automatic, but it is certainly a game that Penn State should win, and it comes at a good time when they kind of need kind of an emotional boost. So we'll see what happens on Saturday. It's Penn State and Rutgers at Beaver Stadium at noon. It's homecoming, and I'm Mike Gross for LancasterOnline.com.
Okay, Mike, thanks for that. We'll see if Penn State can get back on track here against Rutgers. I have a feeling they will.
Scarlet Knights are playing really well, though. I think they won 3 of their last 4.
Okay.
Anyway.
That's a fun stat. Okay, Tim Gross is going to stop by now. As mentioned, there's still so much going on. We're in state playoffs here in pretty much all the fall sports. Bunch of games on Saturday. Tim Gross is here to tell us who's left, who's playing, and what happens from here. Tim, take it away.
The LL League's District 3 champions advanced in Tuesday's first round of the state tournament. Hempfield defeated Perkiomen Valley 1-0 in the 4A first round. And in AA, Lancaster Mennonite defeated Lansdale Catholic 5-1. Hempfield will take on Council Rock North in Saturday's quarterfinal, while the Blazers will meet Notre Dame Green Pond in the quarterfinals. Also in boys soccer, Ephrata bowed out of the Quad A tournament, while Manheim Central saw its season end with a first-round loss in AAA. In girls soccer, Conestoga Valley defeated Council Rock South in penalty kicks to advance to Saturday's quarterfinal round. The Buckskins will face Springford Saturday. Also in girls soccer, Lampeter Strasburg bowed out of the state tournament with a first-round loss. In girls volleyball, Garden Spot picked up a first-round victory over Archbishop Wood to draw a quarterfinal round matchup against Allentown Central Catholic, while Hempfield lost 3-2 to Garnett Valley to see its season end on Tuesday. And in field hockey, Manheim Central and Donegal both picked up wins in the AA tournament. They'll meet in the quarterfinals on Saturday. Also in field hockey, Penn Manor picked up a win in AAA. The Comets will move on into the quarterfinals, and they'll take on Central Bucks East. I'm Tim Gross for LNP.
Okay, Tim, thanks for that. Anxious for this weekend and to see how all the LL teams fare in states. Amazing. Okay, a couple of quick housekeeping items. First up, our Week 10 Player of the Week, Zeki Salesman from Lebanon. Have a night, sir. 506 passing yards against Hempfield last week. Also rushed for 95, 7 total touchdowns. Did some homework this week. As far as I can go, looking at everything I could possibly look at, the 506 passing yards are an LL record.
Really? Wow.
Figured it was, but just went through everything that I could find, and that's the most I could find. John has a good interview up on Lancaster Online, talking to Mr. Salesman about his big week. Take a look for that. Also, later in the week, I was over at Township practice this week, got a chance to caught up with a really cool young man who's dealing with some issues. Street Spitzley, plays for Township, contributing, great kid, special story. Keep an eye on that later in the week. Okay, last thing up this week, we have another Glory Days. Tell us about it.
Yeah, and thanks to Lancaster Country Day Director of Communications, Dolce Antonucci, for sending in this submission. There were 2 members inducted into the LCDS Athletic Hall of Honor last month. And if you're wondering, this is the LL Sports Update Show. Well, Lancaster Country Day next fall is going to become a full-time LL League member. So with that being said, the 2 new members to the LCDS Athletic Hall of Honor were Phil Canosa and Ellen Simpson. They were inducted last month. Phil Canosa is part of the class of 2003. He lettered in basketball, soccer, and baseball all 4 years. Most notably, he finished with 1,260 points on the basketball floor, 3rd all-time in team history. Ellen Simpson, she's part of the class of 1973. During her time at Lancaster Country Day, she earned 9 varsity letters in the sports of field hockey, basketball, and tennis. She's also one of my biggest supporters on Twitter, so shout out to Ellen. Congrats to Ellen and Phil on that. And yeah, if you guys have any Glory Day submissions, whether it be from a year ago, 5 years ago, 50 years ago, I know I say it every week, but we're not getting as many as we did at the beginning. Crack open a scrapbook, get the pictures to us, sports@lnpnews.com with the name, team, year, any other pertinent information, and we will feature it right here as the Glory Days segment on the LL Sports Update Show. All right, another show in the books. We got a busy week in District 3 football. We got a busy week with all the other fall sports and PIAA state playoff games, big games this weekend, so good luck to everybody there. And yeah, thanks to you guys for watching. He's Jeff Reinhardt. I'm John Walk. We'll catch you next week.